Hope you didn't have a funeral today or something, because I'm about to make you even sadder. I just really need to talk about this. The inconsistency of the PlayStation 3 box art. This has always perplexed me. At least these first two instances of the PlayStation 3 box art, I get it. This one? Oh, so that's why hell exists. So this was the format of PlayStation 3 box at the very launch of the console for the first couple of years. You have the logo on the left-hand side right there, and then when we go over to the spine, just a small red header, okay? Nothing crazy. I do think it's kind of a cool little throwback because, you know, this is on the left-hand side, which is similar to, like, the PlayStation 1s, which is, you know, kind of fun, kind of neat. The logo itself, I think everybody will agree, like what was going on here? Why were they using the Spider-Man font? I get that Sony owned those movies, but, like, why for PlayStation? I guess it kind of helped the PS3 to look, like, really futuristic and badass. Like, oh, damn, they're not around this time. That's what this font kind of looks like to me. But once you see that it's the Spider-Man font, it's really hard to look at it as anything but. One thing that's kind of annoying though about not only this box art but the case itself is that if you want to be like authentic, you want to make sure that the outer PS3 case has this PS3 logo etched into it. You see, this is like an old school PS3 case, and then this one is more, you know, modern. Now, I'm not sure if this specifically came out with the revision of the PS3 and the new logo and all of that, but yeah, for the most part, if you want to have these old school PS3 games with the old school logos and whatnot, this case is pretty much the case that came with these games, which turns an already annoying box to replace to an even more annoying box to replace. Like, there's nothing else that uses these these plastic shells. It's just PS3 games. You'd think Sony would do like, oh man, just standard Blu-ray cases, but no, these are like Blu-ray cases that are a little thicker and with the PS3 logo at the top, and they're also transparent instead of blue. But I will say, the spines, I think, are kind of cute. They have, you know, a very unified, boom, red, bit tiny, but it is easy to see what it is, and you have more space for the spine art to flourish. This ain't so bad. And then look who came to the party, my worst fucking nightmare. Yes, the revised PlayStation 3 case. This one has the PS3 logo on the top, which is quite a bit different from the original setup. This one goes for a style more reminiscent of the original PlayStation 2, which, you know, maybe they did that just to kind of invoke that sense of success. This logo was introduced around the time that Sony was really trying to turn the PS3 around. You know, this logo was from the era where that console was really, really struggling. It was too expensive, there weren't enough good games, and then around 2009, that's when Sony said, all right, they introduced the PlayStation 3 Slim, and they said, we're gonna focus on just pumping out good games for this, regain the customer's trust, and that all started with just a complete rebrand of the system. And this is what it is. While I have a lot of nostalgia for this era of the PS3, this one, I have a lot of memories of just the PS3 being actually really damn good with the introduction of this logo. It simplified things quite a bit, and this is what Sony would use moving forward. You know, this is the style of PlayStation logo that was used with the PS4, PS Vita, PS5. So, it obviously worked. But that they have to make it this fucking different? To be fair, I don't think the PS3 library sticks out too much with a different spine like this, mainly because they all use the same general casing. So either way, like, the PS3 library on my shelf don't look too bad, but like, damn, this isn't even close. Most of the time, if they do a branding refresh halfway through a generation, they at least keep it somewhat similar. I look at the Xbox 360 games I have, and they went through a couple different variances of like the header and the spine art, all of that, but they're all so similar that most people I don't think even noticed. The PS3, like, my god, this is just so damn different. But I do like these both equally. I think they both look unique and are special in their own way. I think the revised PS3 box art is definitely a lot more traditional, but that's not a bad thing. While the original, I like how more unique it is, and I think it just kind of has its own vibe, even though it stole its logo font. But this was kind of a necessary thing for them to do to really just pull the PS3 out of the gutter. In addition to that, they brought in the PlayStation Move. And because of that, we have another instance of really annoying spinage. Come on, why do you have to tell me if this uses the PlayStation Move on the spine? Like, the thing is, I get it. I think Sony wanted you to look at your shelf and just see all these games with PlayStation Move on the spine and be like, oh wow, a lot of my games use the PlayStation Move. I should get a PlayStation Move. Yeah, I get it, but at the same time, a lot of the games that have the PlayStation Move logo barely use the damn thing. I may be one of the few souls to have played the Sly collection on PS3 with PlayStation Move. It is one of the most shoehorned in, garbage implementations of PS Move I've ever seen. It's not even in the main games. You have to play mini games with the PlayStation Move. And to call these mini games is incredibly generous. They are genuinely like flash games that would use like a mouse cursor. That is how basic they are. When you select a character, you're basically just selecting a character icon, and there's only like 4 pointer-based games, and they are so basic, so shallow, it is ridiculous. Like, it's obvious that they went to the developers of this collection and just said, hey, we really want to put PlayStation Move support in here. And I assume they would have wanted to include them as, you know, like an attack, you know, like when you attack a Sly, you just swing the PlayStation Move controller. But I assume they just didn't have enough time to do that, or not a high enough budget to implement that thing, or they couldn't test it in an effective amount of time. So they just included garbage mini games that are like 1% of this game, yet they're a big part of the spine. Like, this PlayStation Move logo is the size of the original PS3 logo on the original spine. Just kind of makes for a generally weird looking game collection. But it gets even worse, because around the time that the PS4 launched, Sony changed the PS3 box art. Why? I don't understand why companies do this. This just seems like a bad idea that they think is gonna like unify their brands, where it's just like, yeah, now it's the same color as the PS4 header, but it's just like, won't that potentially confuse consumers into thinking this is like a PS4 game? I know it says 3, but keep in mind, consumers, we're fucking dumb. Microsoft did a similar thing with the Xbox 360 when the Xbox One came out. They redesigned the Xbox 360 to look much more like the Xbox One. And I specifically remember my local newspaper, when those consoles launched, they showed, like, on the front page, they were like, gamers rejoice! And they showed, like, a picture of the PS4, and they showed a picture of what they thought was an Xbox One, but in reality, it was an Xbox 360 that was the redesign that looked more like the Xbox One. So, yeah. I don't think this is a smart idea. Just feels unnecessary because, like, at the end of the day, it's like the same thing as the old one, just blue now. And you know what's even dumber? They changed it back! Yeah, I have a couple late PS3 releases, and so many of them use the black header. Only a couple PS3 games use the blue one, which I assume just meant Sony realized, like, halfway through, they were just like, ah, damn. That makes no sense. Let's go back to the black header. So, you know, you have games that release super later on that just use standard PS3 box templates. But even then, these are slightly different. I genuinely just noticed this now, but yeah, the PlayStation logo is like a slightly different color on the new box art. So why do I want to talk about this? I don't know. I don't see a lot of people talk about it, and I just find it interesting how much Sony changed the damn PS3 box template. You know, if a game company changes their box art template, that's not necessarily a bad thing. In many cases, it can be better for branding, it can be better for brand awareness, better for the consumer, better for marketing, all that stuff. And then you have Xbox. Christ!